Hey there, Cancer. Welcome to your reading for the week of November 10th. This week you have this Caduceus card. It says, you will receive news from afar. You have this Chimera. It says, imagination clouds your judgment. I would definitely be careful of your imagination at this time. I mean, especially Neptune retrograde in Pisces, right? I think that Neptune retrograde in Pisces can kind of make us have our imagination run away with itself, and we can get a little bit carried away. We should be getting the facts, basically. And, the other thing that I always talk about is Pluto and Aquarius. Sometimes I think Pluto and Aquarius really wants us to get the evidence that either something is good for us or bad for us, or something is going to work or it's not going to work. We shouldn't just assume that things are going to be good or bad or indifferent or any of that other stuff, right? And so we have to become like little detectives and make sure that we're getting the evidence, and as long as you do that, you'll be fine. And that's what I would do here, Cancer, plain and simple. You have the Strength card, the Five of Cups, and the Four of Pentacles this week, in the area of your current general energies. The Strength card, of course, is about building strength or having strength. She is developing her strength. She is putting the work in to tame her inner lion. That lion represents her inner voice or her inner critic, but she is the one that's in control of that inner critic. And so I think you need to take control here with this energy. I do kind of feel like a little bit of, imagination holding you back on something that you want. So, if you're trying, especially if you're trying to accomplish anything, I would make sure that you're not allowing your imagination to tell you that you're not good enough or, any of that other stuff. Like I said, she's really putting in the work to tame her inner beast here, her inner lion. And so I would make sure that you're doing that. Next, you have the Five of Cups again. Feeling like you're not good enough, right? So I think you should say to yourself this week that you are good enough to have something you want. He's grieving the loss of his taste for wine here, so he's lost his taste for something that he once enjoyed. But the trick with this card is gratitude, of course. He has to be grateful for these two cups, and then he gets this bridge and this castle. So really, the Five of Cups is a good card, but he just has to turn around and see that he has a new, better opportunity behind him. Because again, it's not just two cups. It's a bridge and a castle that he gets as well. And, the story of the card is that he's grieving the loss of something that he doesn't even want anymore, that he doesn't even enjoy. So sometimes the Five of Cups can come up when we're holding on to something that is limiting us or limiting what we could have. So there you go. And here you go. You have the Four of Pentacles. Same thing. Four of Pentacles, he's holding on to very little. And, he's kind of in a position where the reason he's holding on to those Four of Pentacles is because he's afraid if he lets go that he will never, he will have no pentacles, right? But really what he doesn't realize is that by holding on to those Four of Pentacles, he's limiting himself from potentially having the Ten of Pentacles or something that's even better than that. And so he has to kind of remove himself from limiting situations. And I feel like that's what's going on here in your first row. I feel the first row is kind of encouraging you to let go of something. It could be a belief with that imagination card. It could be how you see yourself or, what you think you're capable of accomplishing or whatever. And I feel this is saying, you need to kind of do something to exceed your own expectations. It's funny that we also go up to the Judgment card with the Magician. This basically says you can create your own reality, or maybe you're waking up to the fact that you have the ability to create your own reality. Really, the challenge is the King of Swords, because the King of Swords is history. It's like with the King of Swords isn't really a bad card, but sometimes I feel that if you experience something like too many times, if an outcome becomes part of your history, then you think that things are always going to be that way. And so I don't really think the King of Swords is bad in your reading, but I do think you need to break free from that belief, right? Yeah, with the Strength card, you have the Star, which is great. The Star is hope, faith, renewal, good energy, wants you to make a wish as well. It's a card of fulfillment. The Star is about believing that's what's possible for one person is possible for everyone. She's pouring this water here onto the land from the pool of universal consciousness, and this water literally says what's possible for one person is possible for everyone if you put the work in, if you make it happen. She also has to, get into this pool. As I always say, she can't just dip her toes in the water. She has to, get into that pool and make the full commitment to the change or to the thing that she's trying to accomplish, and she really has to go for it. And I would definitely encourage you to go all the way here, Cancer. With the Five of Cups, you have the Nine of Pentacles. Told ya. Nine of Pentacles is gratitude and luxuries, right? So the Five of Cups is all about needing, the fives have very easy solutions in the tarot, and the solution to the Five of Cups is gratitude. So I think practicing being grateful for what you have or getting into the energy of gratitude this week would be a good idea. We do have, one thing I will say here, Cancer, is that we do have this water trine that's actually going to hit kind of like multiple times this month. And, in the water trine is happening with Jupiter in your sign. So what I would say here is that water trines are great for healing. They're great for, kind of manifesting as well. And gratitude is, of course, one of the best energies to manifest from. So I think that Nine of Pentacles is a card of focus. And if we focus on, the good stuff, the things that we're grateful for, even if it's something small, then it will grow. And the Nine of Pentacles is a card of growth. So I would take advantage of that gratitude energy. Yeah, with the Four of Pentacles, you have the Sun. You want more. You want something more with that Four of Pentacles. The Sun makes the whole entire reading more positive. So it kind of adds a little bit of a, it makes me feel better about everything that we've talked about so far. But I would make sure that, again, you're in an energy of gratitude and light and happiness and joy. You have the Sun and the Star, which is like fame and fortune. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become famous, but, it is amazing for standing out, getting attention, getting the things that you want and desire in your life. And I would do whatever you can to stand out this week with this energy for sure. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this limitations card. Are you kidding? It says trapped, repressed, lack of resources. You have the sports card. It says physicality, teamwork, and competition. Yes, I think you need to exceed your limitations, like I said earlier, or, blow past the things that you think are limitations. I think that teamwork could be a great option for you, Cancer, especially, Pluto in Aquarius wants us to kind of work on teams, wants us to do anything that benefits the collective or that can help other people. Those are all good things to do with Pluto in Aquarius. But it also says competition. I'm pretty sure that you've been getting the Five of Wands with me, and I think that right now it's an amazing time to study the competition. And I say this all the time because it's probably one of the best things you can do right now, is study the competition, figure out what they're not doing. That's how we can get a competitive advantage, is by studying competition in any area of life. It doesn't have to be work. It could be work, business, love, your health, pretty much anything. It's like, what are people not doing? And if you can find that, then you can probably exceed your limitations by doing that. You have the King of Wands, King of Swords, and the Four of Cups. Yeah, all your readings this year have been really asking you to be bold, assertive, confident. The King of Wands is bold, assertive, confident, courageous, all those things. And so I think the more you kind of like put yourself out there and take action, the better things will be with the King of Wands. As I always say, the King of Wands is a little bit futuristic. He kind of has the gift of foresight. So, we don't consider him intuitive, but he kind of has he kind of has these like futuristic, intuitive ideas that could improve his life. And he is looking at the Star card. So I think that a lot of you could be finding some inspiration this week on like what to do with your life. And I would, follow that with bravery or confidence with that King of Wands. You have the King of Swords. The King of Swords, like I said, I kind of feel the history thing, like you need to let go of what has happened, especially because you also have the Four of Cups as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But I would let go of past outcomes. It's like we're in a different time. Your outcomes are going to be different. So even if you're trying something again, Judgment, Four of Cups, we'll talk about it. I think, and also the Wheel of Fortune. I think that even if you're trying something again that you failed at 20 times in the past, there's probably going to be a different outcome now because you've learned a lot, or hopefully you have, with the Four of Cups. Like I said, we'll talk about it. I do feel good about this, though. Again, this card said teamwork on it. King of Swords is an amazing card for like learning from a mentor or getting the help from like a wiser person. So if you're working on anything or doing anything, finding a person who can help you or help guide you or teach you something usually kind of can add a little bit of gas to the fire, so to speak, can speed things up and make things faster. Mercury retrograde in Sag, I think, is amazing for water signs for learning. So what I would say to you is that, take advantage of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is always an amazing time to learn in general, but I just think in Sagittarius, it's like a little bit more beneficial for learning. You have the Four Cups. Again, Four Cups, he has been disappointed at least 3 times before, and now he's getting a new opportunity to do something that he has wanted to do or to accept an opportunity into his life. He needs to realize that he has learned from these things right here, and he just has to apply what he learned to this new cup, and things will go very well. You even end with the Ace of Cups. So this doesn't have to be love, and I don't even necessarily think that it is. I feel that this is just something that will cause you to overflow. Again, with the water trine this month that we're having, it's like anything you could do to do more of what causes you to overflow will be good for you. And so things that cause you to flow are like the energy of love, doing your hobbies, things that are fun to be doing. Getting into that flow state will be a good thing for you. And I feel the Four Cups is almost asking you to like accept opportunities that will bring you into that flow state. And if you do that, it'll help a lot. With the King of Wands, you have the Ace of Pentacles, like a big opportunity coming in for you. Could be a little futuristic as well. I get that feeling on the King of Wands. Like some of you, and the other thing that I'm getting here is like future promise. It's like, you could be getting an opportunity where it's like, I think it's good right now, but maybe it's a little bit hopeful with the Star card but like, I don't mean this in a bad way. I just mean like, sometimes we can get an opportunity and, a person can, like a boss, can promise us like, oh, we'll pay you more money in the future, blah blah blah, whatever. And I feel, but I do feel that whatever this opportunity is something where there is a lot of growth potential. The Ace of Pentacles, really is quite simple. The more we nurture it, the more likely it is to grow. So we have to water it, feed it, fertilize it, give it sunlight, all those things. The other thing is that the Nine of Pentacles tells me that you can make this grow, this opportunity. Nine of Pentacles, she has these grapes behind her, and the grapes in the tarot represent something that's very difficult to grow, but she can do it well. So whatever this opportunity is, it's like you might not be getting the full, potential out of the opportunity right now, but I feel in the future, it looks like something that will pay off big time. Sure, we'll take both. With the King of Swords, you have the Eight of Pentacles and the Death card. Really this reading could say work is changing for you, or work is about to change, basically. The Death card can be a transformation or a change. Eight of Pentacles is work. Eight of Pentacles is working on one thing. I'm pretty sure I've said this to you before. I think it would be an amazing time for you to like pick one thing and finish it and see it through to the end. I feel this is true for everyone, because we already had Saturn and Aries, and Saturn's retrograding in Pisces right now, but, Saturn and Aries next year especially, I think will love if we start something and finish it. See it through to the end, right? And it could be anything in your life. And the other thing that I think people need to realize is that it should be like a little bit of a challenge. Not in a bad way, but just like a little bit of a stretch. Like if it's a business, there should be an element to it that requires you to like learn and grow and stretch. And if you do those things, then you will pretty much be successful. With the Four of Cups, you have the Knight of Wands. This is like needing to realize that not everything is the same. The Knight of Wands is very spontaneous, but again, I read intuitively, and the message I'm getting here is that it's like, yeah, maybe it seems like the past, 10 times you've tried something or whatever, every single time it went a certain way. But, the Knight of Wands, again, is spontaneous. Like, things can happen differently spontaneously. So, it seems to me like there is like a spontaneous opportunity coming in for you. It probably reminds you of something from the past. Judgment, Wheel of Fortune, all these cards kind of can represent something coming back from the past. I don't think it's a person. I think this is like an opportunity based off the aces and, all this other stuff. But you're going to have to, kind of work it, is what I would say. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this poised card, which I love, and this peace card. This poised card, this fairy thing, whatever it is getting lifted up on a pedestal. So it's like saying that you're being lifted up on a pedestal. You could be creating more peace in your life. I don't necessarily know that I think the peace thing is a good thing here, Cancer. I don't mean that like in a bad way, but it's like I definitely feel Nine of Pentacles, right? We should be creating heaven on earth. We should be, creating a space of peace. But what I would say is like peace in life isn't necessarily always a good thing. And I'm not saying, of course, that you're going to war or something like that, Cancer. What I'm saying is like sometimes we have to stretch a little bit, which might not necessarily bring us peace if we're being challenged, right? But it's also causing us to grow. So, again, we're not talking about bad energy here. We're just saying that, sometimes being comfortable all the time isn't a good thing. Should you have your time and your space where you create peace? Absolutely. But I think this is kind of saying that a little tiny bit of conflict, and we're coming at this from the perspective of growth, of challenging yourself, of stretching yourself just a little bit. I think adding in a little bit of that conflict would be a good thing. And again, we're not talking about bad conflict here. Also, Cancer, make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. You have the Judgment card, Four of Swords, and the Five of Swords. There's definitely a second chance. I would call this a second chance reading for sure, just based off of everything that's coming up here. It's like a second chance at an opportunity for you. The Judgment card is a wake-up call. It can also be, this is your higher self angel. So I think your higher self is kind of guiding you to take another chance at something that's going to be a little bit of a stretch. They kind of look like they're stretching here. And, the thing about this card is that they have to leave their coffin. The coffin represents their old life. Outside the coffin is their new life. They have to stretch a little bit to step outside of that coffin and to enter into their new life. So they have to, and the other thing is, they have to completely release the past. They have to completely let go of that old story and treat a new opportunity as new, right? And so no past judgments on anything new that you're doing. You have the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is like resting, relaxing, recovering, and healing. It is my Mercury retrograde card. Is that accurate tarot? No, but this card comes up all the time during Mercury retrograde, and it's a good thing to be doing during Mercury retrograde. Is if you need a break, take a break. If you need a rest, take a rest. It's also a card of hoping and praying for blessings. This person here is blessing this other person, and he's hoping and praying for a blessing. You have the Star. I always say the Star is an excellent card for asking for something. We have to pick a point. We have to pick something that we want to accomplish, and we have to align with it. That's the solution to the Star, is we get into alignment with our North Star, and if we do that, then we can get it. But, maybe visualization has to come first. So you might need to see an outcome that you desire before you can have it. You end with the Magician, right? Just putting all these pieces of the puzzle together. You have the Five of Swords. Yeah, definitely a risk time. Again, conflict, right? It's I think a little bit of conflict in your life would be a good thing. And like I said, I'm sure someone's going to take it there, so I'm just going to say we're not talking about bad conflict here. We're just talking about, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of challenging yourself. I don't think this has to be a bad thing. I think it's just stretching. It's just, it's like lifting weights. If you want to get stronger, you have to lift heavier and heavier weights, right? And so I think that's the type of conflict that we're talking about. And it would be good for you, Cancer, just a little bit of growth, a little bit of, kind of pushing yourself a little bit, right? And like I said, during Mercury retrograde, should we really be pushing ourselves? Probably not, but a little bit, a tiny bit is perfectly fine, right? With the Judgment card, you have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, definitely take another stab at something here, Cancer. Nine of Wands is not giving up. Nine of Wands is giving something one last shot. So this is definitely a last chance, last shot type of reading. I don't really think it's your last chance, but I think you're giving something another one last chance, an opportunity or something like that. So it's you're trying again. Nine of Wands is amazing for experimentation. Just look at my channel. I'm running 20 freaking experiments right now. Because again, it's an amazing time to experiment, right? And try new things. So I would, throw something at the wall. With the Four of Swords, you have the King of Pentacles. Yeah, you have three kings here so far. Three of the kings. So, for those of you that want love, whenever I have three kings, it tells me we still have a chance to get the last king, but it tells me that you could be attracting someone who's like almost an emperor. So that's kind of popping into my head. King of Pentacles is a little bit of playing it safe. So he is the card of convention. He does things the way he's always been doing them. And again, he's not a bad card. He can definitely represent wealth building and improving your finances, which money looks pretty good in this reading for you, Cancer. But he needs to push himself a little bit. He needs to maybe try something new or experiment. So again, that is coming up for you again. With the Five of Swords, you have the Seven of Cups. Imagination, that very first card says imagination clouds your judgment. I've been saying this to you since like June. I'm pretty sure that don't cheat yourself out of something. I remember saying this to you over the summer. So I feel that you have been imagining something for a while, probably something that you want. The problem with the Seven of Cups is that he's kind of like dreaming of the good things and the bad things that could happen instead of just doing it. He really doesn't know what the outcome is going to be unless he does it. So, I feel this is saying like something like an opportunity could clearly be very good for you, but you're going to have to, bring it down to earth. You're going to have to make it happen here. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this great water card. Yes, with the water trine, of course. It says yearning, dreams, wishes, goals, abroad, foreign people, spirituality, broadening horizons, new views. Yes. You have this change card. It says change your movement in your life, new direction, relocation, progress, change of view. Both of these cards say that, don't they? Or maybe not, but whatever. Job, partnership, or heart. So yeah, I think there are a lot of changes coming in for you. You even start here with the Magician. The Magician is manifestation, but also reinvention. So you could be being triggered to kind of like reinvent your life a little bit. You do have Jupiter in your sign, of course, and sometimes I do think Jupiter does cause us to transform because it wants us to expand, and a lot of you could be expanding with this card. I always pull the card he's pointing to. We're going to say it's this one, and it's upside down, but it says yin, and so the yin energy in this deck represents kind of, more passive energy. It kind of represents resting, relaxing, recovering, healing, doing all those things, so, of course, makes perfect sense. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is, again, something coming back around here, Cancer, and it can also represent a change in your fortunes. I will say this month is kind of lucky. There is luck this month, as I've said before, and but the type of luck is where we put ourselves in situations where we can get lucky, right? And we have to kind of create our own luck. And I feel a lot of you, are going to get opportunities that could be very lucky if you take advantage of them, and I would with the Wheel of Fortune. You have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, I think the more, with this card and that yin energy card, like the more you put yourself in the energy of being in overflow of your energy flowing, obviously the better things will get. The Ace of Cups, it can easily reach down into the water below it and cause itself to overflow. So anything you can do, or anything that you do in your life that makes you happy or makes you overflow, I would do more of those things. With the Magician, you have the Six of Wands. Yeah, we see a lot of attention here. Sun, Star, Six of Wands, can be you standing out, getting attention, having a victory or having a win, which is great. With the Wheel of Fortune, you always, every single reading, you are the only sign that always gets their major arcana in their reading. So, the Chariot can be a victory, success, but it's also you charging towards success. It is Cancer. So whenever you show up as yourself, it puts you in a position of power and strength. With the Wheel of Fortune, it definitely would encourage you to take control of your destiny. The Wheel of Fortune is your personal vision for your life. It is your destiny. So I would take advantage of it. With the Ace of Cups, I don't know why I can't spit that Ace of Cups out, but there you go. You have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles, like work hard, play hard. I would make sure that you're balancing the energy. The retrograde starts on the 9th. So, obviously this week is like the first full day of the retrograde. That Three of Cups, by the way, when I pulled that Two of Pentacles out, that Three of Cups popped out. I just put it back into the deck and it popped out again. So, sure, we'll take it. The Three of Cups is like celebration, happiness, spending time with friends. It's a great card for surrounding yourself with people who lift you up as well here, Cancer. So, I think that would be a good thing for you. But with the Two of Pentacles, again, I would be making sure that you're like balancing out your vibe or your energy just in general. You have this broken ring. It says parting of the ways either in romance or business. Yeah, Five of Swords. Again, I think you're letting go of your old story, basically, Cancer, or you're letting go of what has happened many times in the past. Ring cards can represent things coming full circle. So even though it's a broken ring, I think things are coming full circle for you. You have this Lily card. It says spiritual love. Yeah, I wouldn't really call this a love reading. I mean, you do have the Ace of Cups, but if you want love, definitely could be like a spiritual connection coming in for you. Again, it's almost like you're attracting almost an emperor. It's like you're attracting someone who all they're missing is the King of Cups, right? That's the only king that we don't have here. And you know what I mean? The other thing this kind of tells me, you're Cancer, right? And I think sometimes the thing with Cancer is that, again, the King of Cups is missing, right? So you might be attracting a person where it's like emotionally, maybe they're different emotionally, and this is kind of popping into my head, or it's like they might be a little bit colder or something like that. It's not that they're not emotional. It's not that this can't work is what I'm trying to say, but it's like, Cancer can be a little bit more emotional, and maybe they're not. And so there might be some sort of difference going on here. I don't think it has to be a bad thing. Like I said, I think, it could be worked through. You have this chain card. It says chain of events that will affect your life. Yeah, it seems to me like things are adding up here. It's a pretty simple reading. It's like you're revisiting an opportunity. Can't make this up. You have this grapes card. It says time to go out and have fun, which I think is true, but I also think this is encouraging you to grow. It's like saying Nine of Pentacles. We talked about the grapes. It's like saying that you have the opportunity to get something to grow. You have this stork card. It says news of a birth or new business opportunity. I would just say it's like a new opportunity that's coming in for you. But obviously, storks bring babies. You have to take care of a baby if you want it to survive, right? So, and we talked about this with the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles has to be nurtured into existence. So whatever this opportunity is, I would take advantage of it, nurture it. But this looks really good, Cancer. So make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.